Hello, welcome you watching. This is Exclusive with me, Shavin Sen. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight our focus is on the current situation in Bangladesh, whether there is an attempt that we are seeing in the subcontinent as far as the United States of America is concerned. What we saw in Manipur and the questions that we have essentially raised about the foreign hand. There is a context to it, ladies and gentlemen, about how the West has been meddling with the affairs in the subcontinent, particularly in Bangladesh. Today, it marks a month to Sheikh Hasina's ouster from Bangladesh. And the fact of the matter is that the interim government that is led by Mohammad Yunus was supposed to actually announce elections in Bangladesh, which has not been done so far. And what we see, the kind of changes that are essentially taking place in Bangladesh raises some very serious questions. Tonight on This Is Exclusive, we'll be joined by a senior leader of the BNP. We'll tell you why it is important and why things could actually be shaped in a different manner in the days to come. All this and much more on this edition of This Is Exclusive. But up first, let's take you through the headlines we are tracking at this hour.
Presented by Royal Global University, Northeast can't wait. Paro kuch bano.
After dividing the army on the basis of caste, Rahul Gandhi attempts the same with railways.
बुलडोजर चलाने के लिए हिम्मत चाहिए दंगाइयों के सामने और माफियाओं के सामने नाक रगड़ने वाले बुलडोजर क्या चलाएंगे बुलडोजर को देख करके इनको वैसे ही हार्ट अटैक हो जाएगा.
It's Yogi Adityanath versus Akhilesh Yadav over bulldozer action in Uttar Pradesh. Yogi takes a jibe, says not everyone can follow bulldozer justice. Centre signs a peace pact with two armed groups in Tripura. Shah says, I welcome cadres to mainstream. Nervous former RG Kaur principal now moves Supreme Court against High Court order of transferring his case to CBI.
Presented by Royal Global University, Northeast can't wait. Paro kuch bano.
Ladies and gentlemen, the situation in Bangladesh is undoubtedly a cause of concern. And why exactly are we saying that there is an attempt that has been made by the United States of America to meddle in the affairs of Bangladesh? Just take a look at the pattern and the delegation visit that's going to take place in the days to come. You have a serving diplomat, Donald Lu, who's made multiple trips to Bangladesh. This was even before the elections that took place, the national election that took place, and several questions were being raised by the West, particularly about the rigging in the Bangladesh elections. At that point in time, there was a visit that was made by Donald Lu before the elections and after the elections. Many saw this as some sort of a shift in the geopolitics. But what's really happening right now in Bangladesh with the kind of announcements that have been made by the interim government so far, starting with the fact that there is an attempt that is being made to even review the agreements that have been signed with India, and the fact that Donald Lu's visit also perhaps signals that there is an attempt that has been made by the United States of America to control the situation in Bangladesh. As far as Mohammad Yunus is concerned, the caretaker government that is in place, Mohammad Yunus, through various reports that have been published so far, has always indicated one thing, that Mohammad Yunus has acted at the behest of the United States of America. Various visits that he has actually made here in India and the secret meetings that have taken place between US dignitaries and Mohammad Yunus in itself indicates a pattern. Joining me on this broadcast is my colleague and our senior executive editor, Abhishek Kapoor. In a short while from now, we'll also be joined by a senior politician of the BNP. And remember, the BNP, Abhishek, plays an important, crucial role. But the current situation in Bangladesh and the fact that this visit of Donald Lu, the US Assistant Secretary of State, someone who's had a career spanning of 25 years in this very subcontinent, indicates that there is something brewing right now in Bangladesh. Abhishek.
Well, Shravan, for one, he's in charge of South Asia, so obviously it's part of his diplomatic brief to be, connecting with the establishments in South Asia. But what is important is, Shravan, that Donald Lu is someone who's been associated with, for example, in Pakistan, and Imran Khan directly named him. Similarly, in this instance, we have seen Muhammad Yunus's name being pushed by, the likes of Barack Obama, George Clooney, essentially coming out as someone who was being pushed by the American establishment. And remember, Muhammad Yunus himself, the caretaker of the Bangladesh interim government, would be traveling to the United States on 22nd of September to participate in the UNGA, which is the United Nations General Assembly. So what is it that has made the Americans to be meeting Muhammad Yunus in Dhaka as well, just a week before Muhammad Yunus travels to New York? So I think there is a clear pattern. We have seen the Americans clearly, Shravan, first creating issues with Sheikh Hasina's government, and then, of course, putting in sanctions, and then, in fact, not condemning the kind of violence which led to the change of government in Bangladesh, including life-saving escape of Sheikh Hasina from Dhaka, and subsequently the manner in which the Americans have really come around to push Muhammad Yunus's candidature, accept him as the leader of Bangladesh government, and now engage with him at the topmost levels, clearly shows that there is obviously something which connects the changes that have taken place in Bangladesh with some elements within the DC establishment.
Well, in fact, Abhishek, I'll just request you to stay on with us. I'll just make an attempt to see if we can go across to BNP senior politician Abdul Moyeen Khan, who's joining us on this broadcast. And the BNP in particular, remember, has been demanding that the elections should be carried out in the near future. But there is absolutely no sign really coming in from the interim government as to when exactly would the elections really take place in Bangladesh. And not to forget, BNP had already boycotted the elections that took place in the past. At least two such elections that have taken place in Bangladesh. Mr. Moyeen Khan, if you can hear me, and if you could unmute yourself, we'll take those questions with Abdul Moyeen Khan. He has served in the Bangladesh government twice and is a senior politician of the BNP. Mr. Moyeen Khan, if you can hear me, the question that we wanted to ask you, a month after Sheikh Hasina's ouster, one thing is very clear, that this is not some sort of a public response. It appears that there is a pattern. This was already pre-decided. The very fact that many would say that there is an intervention of the West. You've already had Sheikh Hasina's son alleging that the ISI has played a crucial role in this.
Thank you very much for asking me these questions. My first and instant response is I'm amazed how India, being run by the most capable people around the world, how Indian bureaucrats, how Indian politicians, and how India's security strategies can continue to live in a world of imagination, to think that there has been a US intervention in Bangladesh, having seen firsthand and live over the televisions as well as the social media, how a fascist government in Bangladesh had completely destroyed each and every institution in Bangladesh, not to mention the fact that during the last 1 month and a half, prior to her departure, prior to her fleeing from Bangladesh, she had killed thousands of innocent people, including children and university,
But
school, and
Mr.
students.
Mr. Moyeen Khan,
Yes.
Bangladesh.
Just one second. Let me finish. So what you are still imagining inside India is a fiction. It's not the reality.
Mr. Moyeen Khan, let me put out some facts for you. Interim government, which is being led by Mr. Mohammad Yunus Khan, has had several meetings with US diplomats here in India itself. There are reports that suggest that this was pre-decided even years back when he was in Kolkata, and he has had the meeting with the Consul General, where he has clearly indicated that, yes, he would like to participate in a regime change. So can you actually say that this is a figment of imagination, especially when the West has cultivated the caretaker Mohammad Yunus?
Thank you. I'm not sure which references you are quoting, but it doesn't really matter. Of course, Bangladesh foreign policy is such that we are friendly towards each and every country. You know that US was one country which opposed, this is a statement of fact, US was one country which opposed or maybe the breakup of Pakistan, or maybe in whatever way you interpret, and was not siding with the Awam League at that point in time. But the history has not stopped there. You have seen the US has been one of the largest development partners of Bangladesh, 1971 onwards. We had been absolutely friendly with India. We are aware that if India had not given us support in 1971, Bangladesh, and independent Bangladesh, may not have been created in a short period of 9 months. But the fact doesn't stop there. If India feels that history has become stagnant in 1971, that is a big mistake. History moves on, the society moves on, the politics moves on, and this is a dynamic world. I think India has failed to grasp that dynamics. To conclude, I would reiterate that India has always been seeking friendship between two political parties, or they had been seeking friendship between two governments, so to say, Indian government and the Bangladesh government. That was the biggest strategic blunder India had committed. You see, friendship is between two peoples. Friendship is to be between the people of India and the friendship between people of Bangladesh. I can say without any doubt that the people of Bangladesh, until this moment in time, they are absolutely friendly towards the Indian population and the Indian people. The problem was, since the friendship was developed between two governments, when the two governments collapse, when any of these two governments collapse, the friendship collapses. And it is only the lasting friendship and sustainable friendship which, if created between two peoples of two countries, it will last and it will sustain so long this country is sustained, and India will sustain, Bangladesh will sustain. I will seriously propose that Indian policymakers reconsider, rethink, and reformulate their policies towards Bangladesh in the light of the reality of 2024, not in the light of 1971.
Mr. Khan, before I also bring in my colleague Abhishek Kapoor, I want a direct answer from you. As far as relations with Pakistan is concerned, let's not undermine the kind of struggle that you've had in Bangladesh to fight the evil design of Pakistan. Can you actually be clear about your position, your party's position vis-a-vis Pakistan is concerned? Because that in itself is the biggest stumbling block.
Of course, I can state you what the reality is. You see, we dissociated from Pakistan. We revolted against Pakistan for one reason. And that reason was we believed that there can never be democracy within the framework of Pakistan. I'm amazed how this situation back from 1971 more or less sustains until today. So that is a fundamental point. So as a corollary to that, the prime motive behind the creation of Bangladesh was democracy. We wanted freedom of speech, freedom to vote whomever we liked. So what happened during the last 15 years of Hasina regime, she completely moved away from democracy to autocracy. You have to understand that. I'm sorry, you're from India, you do not understand. We did not create Pakistan for an autocracy that was perpetuated by the Hasina Awami League government. That was the folly she created. She created a Frankenstein, and that Frankenstein has eaten herself up.
Mr. Khan,
As for Pakistan, just to complete, as for Pakistan, we only believe that we can be friendly with Pakistan if Pakistan, in their heart, they believe in the concept of democracy, not otherwise.
Mr. Khan, you are saying a lot of things about our figment of imagination or being a bogey, etc.
But you check it for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, we of course would deal with whichever government is in power and has a constitutional mandate to be in power in Dhaka or any other country in our neighborhood. But Mr. Khan, my question is, you're saying it's figment of imagination or Indian concerns are figment of imagination. Isn't it a fact that terrorists and those involved in anti-India terror activities have been released from prisons and jails in the last 1 month by the interim government? And that's an area of concern. It directly impacts India's national security. So there are concerns in India, which the present government in Bangladesh perhaps is not taking into account and is not being sensitive to.
Shall I give you a frank answer? You see, India's population is of the order of magnitude of 10 times for Bangladesh. And India's area in magnitude terms is something like a factor of 20. And if I may say, in terms of magnitude, Indian economy would be at least of the order of 50 of that of Bangladesh. And Indian military strength would be of the order of 100 times of that of Bangladesh. And even after that, if you say that in Bangladesh we are harboring anti-Indian feelings or we are carrying out persecution against Hindus, which, as I say, are figments of imagination. In fact, you leave me with no other choice but to take it as a compliment. Bangladesh cannot afford to do that against India. Bangladesh has never done that against India, and Bangladesh will never do that against India. Bangladesh wants friendly terms with each and every country of the world. That is our policy, that is our official policy, and that is the policy and the mindset of the people of Bangladesh. You ask anybody around the world, Bangladeshis are one of the most friendly people in the world. The problem has arisen, let me tell you very frankly, the problem has arisen not because of India. Not because of India. The problem has arisen because of India's backing up of an autocratic killer government in Bangladesh. That is the fact. Bangladeshi people had never been against anti-Indian. And this is the truth.
I want to end this interview with you, Mr. Khan, with a final question. While you put this entire blame on India, shouldn't the BNP also take the blame for, one, the proximity that your party has had with leaders in Pakistan and the association that you've had, and the fact that you all have perhaps made several comments about India which hasn't really gone down well, especially coming in from your senior party leaders? Will the BNP admit that you will have to, if at all you are in power, you will have to work closely with India?
Thank you. I don't know the statements you made just now. What are the basis of those statements? Whether these are facts or not, I do not know.
No, I can tell you the basis. I can tell you the basis, Mr. Khan. The fact of the matter is that the last time that a border clash happened between forces between India and Bangladesh, when the erstwhile BDR killed BSF soldiers, it happened during the BNP regime. The fact is that the Chittagong arms haul case happened during the BNP regime. The fact is that just when BNP influenced caretaker government is in power, anti-India terrorist elements are being released from prisons. So obviously there is a pattern of BNP being very anti-India in its position, and it's getting reflected. It has got reflected historically.
You can continue to say what you're saying, but these are without any facts and figures. And
it's a fact that Ansarul Bangla team chief has been released. Jashimuddin Rahmani has been released. It's a fact that Chittagong arms haul case accused have been released from prison just this month, last month.
The whole thing was figments of imagination of the Hasina killer government to fool the people in the Western world as well as in India, and which she did successfully until the entire population of the Bangladesh, the students and the people, they exposed her, and she was forced to flee Bangladesh for fear of her life. That is the truth. And you must understand one point: the Bangladeshi people are friendly towards India. Did not the Indian Foreign Secretary come and spend 10 days in Bangladesh right before the general elections in Bangladesh, trying to influence and persuade the Ershad, the other government in Bangladesh, which was military government and non-democratic government? India tried to manipulate him and influence the general elections in Bangladesh. These are all interference in the internal affairs of Bangladesh, which India did. I can assure you that BNP, just like any other political party in Bangladesh, they believe in friendship with people around the world.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Moyeen Khan, for joining us on this broadcast. While questions have already been raised about the manner in which the persecution that has taken place and the fact that there are several leaders who are unwilling.
To name a single Hindu who had been killed post 5th of August in Bangladesh, not a single one. So all the propaganda that has been spread around the globe are figments of imagination. I testify to that.
Well, in fact, it is your caretaker government who has actually admitted to that, Mr. Moyeen Khan, and I believe if you can go through
they have not admitted. They have invited
they themselves. Mr. Yunus has actually admitted to the fact that they will have to reach out to the minorities. So we are not only talking about the Hindus, but several other minorities who have been targeted in Bangladesh. That's a reality.
That's what your reality is. That's why you have messed up everything.
It's not our reality. There are press conferences happening in Dhaka. There are press conferences happening in Dhaka. The United Nations is concerned. The United Nations Human Rights Council is concerned.
So, the only way for you is to rethink, because we want to live peacefully in South Asia, and we must live as friends.
Then you should not be leaving terrorists out from prisons, Mr. Moyeen Khan, but I think we have run out of time.
Right.
Well, thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Moyeen Khan, and thank you, Abhishek, for joining us on this broadcast. This was the first appearance of a BNP leader on Indian television. Ladies and gentlemen, questions will be asked of the interim government in Bangladesh, because this is also a matter of security concern for India, a story that we'll be tracking very closely. That's all that we could pack in this edition of This Is Exclusive. We'll be back tomorrow at the same time with more exclusive stories.